아, 지금 시간이 없어서. 잘 좀 부탁해. 어?
When a dying doctor is given mysterious pills that allow him to travel back in time, he sees a chance to reunite with his lost love who died 30 years ago. But changing the past comes with a devastating price. Saving her life could erase his daughter's existence, forcing him to choose between two loves. The story opens in a remote tribal area where a medical team is preparing to evacuate due to an approaching storm. Dr. Kim, the last doctor scheduled to board the helicopter, encounters an elderly tribal man carrying a severely ill young girl who desperately needs medical treatment. The weather department has warned that a massive storm is approaching the region, making immediate evacuation critical. Despite urgent warnings from his female colleague that staying would mean being stranded for 2 weeks until the next flight, Kim makes the compassionate choice to remain behind and treat the child. After working tirelessly through the entire night, Kim successfully saves the girl's life using his medical expertise. The grateful old man approaches him the next morning to express his heartfelt thanks. During their conversation, Kim asks if the girl is his granddaughter, but the elder explains he found her abandoned in the forest. The girl had been cast out by her community, likely due to some unusual physical characteristic that made her different from others. The tribal man's gratitude runs deep, and he wants to repay Kim's selfless act. The conversation takes an intriguing turn when the old man asks Kim a profound question. Is there anything in his life that he wishes for, something he has never been able to obtain despite wanting it deeply? Kim responds honestly that there was someone very important in his life he would like to see again, but that person exists only in his past and can never be reached. The old man, speaking with the wisdom of someone who understands mysteries beyond ordinary comprehension, tells Kim that he doesn't believe as much in things he can see with his eyes as he does in things that cannot be seen. The tribal elder then produces a small glass bottle from around his neck containing several small pills. He hands this mysterious bottle to Kim, suggesting these could help him obtain what he seeks from his past. Initially skeptical but wanting to be polite to the grateful man, Kim examines the bottle carefully. Driven by curiosity and perhaps desperation, he swallows one of the pills immediately. The scene shifts dramatically as Kim finds himself coughing violently at a telephone booth near BYU Senator Railway Station. Disoriented and confused about his location, he struggles to understand what has happened. A young man approaches to offer assistance, asking if he needs help. When Kim asks where he is, the young man confirms they're at BYU Senator Railway Station. Kim is utterly shocked to realize he's looking at his own younger self from 3 decades ago. The bewildered young Kim introduces himself by name, leading to older Kim's astonishment that they share the same identity. As the older Kim begins coughing up blood from his deteriorating condition, the younger version compassionately offers him a handkerchief, a special gift from his girlfriend that holds sentimental value. This act of kindness deeply moves the older Kim, who realizes something extraordinary and impossible is happening. Understanding that something is terribly wrong with this situation, the older Kim flees in panic to the station's washroom. The younger Kim follows, genuinely concerned about the stranger's severe coughing condition and also wanting to retrieve his girlfriend's precious handkerchief. However, when young Kim checks the washroom and calls out asking for his handkerchief back, he discovers the older man has mysteriously vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, the older Kim finds himself back in an airplane washroom in the present day, completely disoriented but beginning to understand that the mysterious pills enable him to travel back in time exactly 30 years. The handkerchief from his younger self is still in his possession, proving the experience was real rather than a hallucination or dream. Back in the present day of 2016, Kim continues his regular medical practice. At his clinic, he shows a colleague a CT scan, asking for a professional opinion about the patient's prognosis. His fellow doctor delivers devastating news. The scan shows lung cancer, and the patient has at most 6 months to live. The shocking revelation is that this CT scan belongs to Kim himself. He is dying from lung cancer caused by decades of heavy smoking. That evening, Kim calls his beloved daughter, who is away studying. Their conversation reveals the deep bond between father and daughter as he asks when she'll return home from her studies. She promises to come back after completing her exams, but during their call, Kim struggles to hide his deteriorating condition as another violent coughing fit overtakes him. He manages to control it by taking medication, not wanting to worry his daughter about his terminal diagnosis. While doing routine laundry, Kim makes a startling discovery. In his pants pocket, he finds the handkerchief that young Kim had given him during his time travel experience. This physical evidence confirms that his journey to 1985 was absolutely real, not a hallucination caused by his illness or medication. Examining the mysterious bottle again with new understanding, he carefully counts 9 remaining pills and realizes each one allows him to travel back exactly 30 years for a limited duration. Understanding the incredible opportunity before him and driven by his terminal diagnosis, Kim decides to take another pill. He wants to see Jasmine, his lost love who died 30 years ago, one more time before his own death. This time, he's prepared for the experience and knows what to expect from the time travel process. Kim travels back to 1985, deliberately appearing at his younger self's home at exactly midnight. The young Kim is terrified upon seeing him. immediately recognizing the stranger from the railway station who had mysteriously disappeared from the washroom. The older Kim tries to reassure his frightened younger self, calmly examining a newspaper to confirm he's successfully traveled to 1985 from 2016. The date and year verification helps him understand the precise mechanics of his time travel ability. When the younger version suggests the older man might be a confused patient needing medical help, Kim reveals he's actually a surgeon, not a patient. Young Kim demands to see identification, and older Kim shows him his medical ID. When young Kim examines the ID card, he's completely baffled because it shows the same name as his own but was issued in 2008 to 23 years in the future from their current 1985 timeline. To prove his incredible claim of being the same person from the future, older Kim begins sharing intimate secrets that only young Kim would know. He reveals specific details about a scar on young Kim's head, explaining it was caused by their abusive father during a violent drunken incident. This deeply personal information, which young Kim had never shared with anyone due to shame and trauma, finally convinces him that this stranger is indeed his future self. During this emotional revelation, older Kim notices a small puppy in the house and immediately calls it by name, Potato. Young Kim is amazed that the stranger knows the dog's name, and older Kim explains he knows because he was the one who originally named the puppy. He tells young Kim that he's 30 years older than him, while young Kim is 30 years younger. They are the same person separated by 3 decades of time. The older Kim explains that he wants nothing material or selfish. He simply wants to see Jasmine one more time. Jasmine was his girlfriend 30 years ago, someone he has missed deeply every single day since her death. This was what he had told the tribal elder about wanting to see someone from his past who could never be reached through normal means. Young Kim becomes immediately agitated and protective when Jasmine is mentioned, angrily demanding that his future self stay away from her. Before older Kim can explain the situation further, another severe coughing fit forces him to flee from the house. Young Kim pursues him, but the older man vanishes again as his 20-minute time limit expires, automatically returning him to 2016 where he's found unconscious in his washroom. This supernatural experience deeply troubles young Kim in 1985. Unable to process what happened alone, he seeks help from his best friend Don, who works as a police officer. Young Kim gives Don the lighter that the mysterious older man had accidentally left behind, asking him to run forensic analysis on it. Don performs fingerprint testing and discovers something seemingly impossible. The fingerprints on the lighter match exactly with young Kim's own fingerprints, despite belonging to a completely different person. This scientific evidence, combined with the stranger's intimate knowledge of Kim's personal secrets and his mention of Jasmine, convinces young Kim that he truly encountered his future self. Wanting to establish communication with his future version, young Kim makes a bold decision. He visits a tattoo parlor and gets permanent ink on his hand reading "Visit here" with an arrow pointing to a specific location. In 2016, when older Kim notices this tattoo suddenly appearing on his own hand, he understands that his younger self wants to meet and communicate. However, instead of immediately traveling back, Kim chooses to spend precious time with his daughter, knowing his days are numbered due to his terminal cancer. Their time together is bittersweet, filled with the unspoken knowledge of his approaching death. During dinner, Kim suggests that his daughter should go to the United States for her doctoral studies, mentioning that her mother lives there. Though he doesn't explicitly reveal his terminal diagnosis, his suggestion carries the weight of a dying father's concern for his child's future.
이제 그냥 미국 나가서 공부하는 거 어때?
His daughter, who has secretly discovered his medical reports, understands the real reason behind his suggestion. Upset by this discovery and her father's attempt to push her away, she leaves the dinner table. Kim follows her outside, and in a moment of vulnerable honesty, he admits that his friend Don had always warned him about smoking too much throughout his life. He expresses regret that he didn't listen to this advice sooner, indirectly acknowledging that his lung cancer resulted from his own choices. His daughter, understanding the pain her father is experiencing, silently rests her head on his shoulder in a touching display of love and support. Using another precious pill, Kim travels back to meet young Kim at an aquarium where Jasmine works as the world's first female dolphin trainer. This was an era when female animal trainers were extremely rare, making Jasmine a pioneer in her field. Young Kim asks about their future family, curious about what lies ahead in their shared timeline. Older Kim confirms they will have a beautiful daughter whom he loves more deeply than life itself. When young Kim naturally assumes Jasmine must be the mother of this future daughter, older Kim carefully deflects the question, unwilling to reveal the complex truth. As Jasmine's dolphin show begins, older Kim is overwhelmed with emotion seeing her alive and vibrant again. This moment represents a dream he never thought possible. Seeing the woman he lost 30 years ago, healthy and happy, performing the work she loved with the dolphins. The dolphin show is spectacular, showcasing Jasmine's skill and the special bond she has developed with the marine animals. For older Kim, watching this performance is both a gift and torture. He can see Jasmine but knows she will die soon, and he's powerless to change her fate without destroying his daughter's existence. As his 20-minute time limit approaches, older Kim tells young Kim this will be his last visit, preparing to say goodbye forever. Young Kim becomes becomes desperate, frantically asking why his future self comes to the past specifically to see Jasmine and whether she's alive in the future. The questions become more urgent. If she's not alive, how did she die? When will it happen? Can they prevent it? Under intense pressure from his younger self's desperate questioning, older Kim reluctantly reveals the devastating truth. Jasmine will die very soon in an accident. However, before he can provide crucial details about when, where, or how this tragedy will occur, his time limit expires and he's pulled back to the present day against his will. Back in 2016, while listening to music on an old record player, Kim makes a startling discovery. The record stops playing, and he finds a hidden message that his younger self had somehow placed there 30 years ago. The message directs him to look in their mother's photo album, where Kim finds a letter that young Kim had strategically placed, knowing his future self would eventually find it. The letter is an emotional and threatening ultimatum. Young Kim writes that his future self left him with incomplete information, making him completely anxious and desperate about Jasmine's fate. He threatens to ruin their entire future timeline unless older Kim returns to provide complete details about Jasmine's death. The letter warns that young Kim now understands he has control over their shared destiny and could make changes that would drastically alter their future reality. Realizing he has no choice, older Kim uses another pill to return to 1985. Young Kim immediately demands to know exactly how, when, and where Jasmine dies so he can prevent the tragedy. However, older Kim explains this creates an impossible dilemma. He shows young Kim a photograph of his daughter and explains the devastating truth. If Jasmine survives and they marry as young Kim hopes, this daughter will never be born because her mother is an entirely different woman he meets years later. Older Kim proposes a heartbreaking compromise that might save both Jasmine's life and preserve his daughter's existence. He offers to reveal exactly how to save Jasmine's life, but young Kim must agree to break up with her immediately afterward. Furthermore, young Kim must live exactly as he would have lived after her death. The same choices, the same isolation, the same career path. This way, he'll eventually meet his daughter's mother at the precise moment destiny intended, maintaining the timeline that ensures his daughter's birth. The moral weight of this decision crushes young Kim. He loves Jasmine deeply, but the thought of his future daughter never existing because of his choices is unbearable. Reluctantly, he agrees to this devastating bargain, understanding that saving Jasmine's life requires sacrificing their relationship. 2 months pass in this tense arrangement. Young Kim receives urgent news that his father is critically ill and hospitalized. He rushes to be with his dying father, a man who had been abusive and alcoholic throughout Kim's childhood. Even on his deathbed, Kim's father continues his hateful behavior, cursing Kim's mother and showing no remorse for the pain he caused his family throughout their lives. Kim and Jasmine haven't seen each other for these 2 difficult months due to his father's deteriorating condition and Kim's commitment to avoiding her. When Jasmine, who has been given a rare 3-day break from her work, offers to visit him during this family crisis, Kim initially wants to refuse. He doesn't want her to meet his terrible father or see the dysfunction of his family situation. However, older Kim appears with urgent news and a newspaper from the future. The headline reveals that if Jasmine doesn't come to see Kim, she will die trying to save a sick dolphin at the aquarium. Her dedication to the animals she loves will lead her to take dangerous risks that will cost her life. Seeing the actual newspaper proof of her future death convinces young Kim to allow her visit. Following his future self's specific instructions, young Kim invites Jasmine to come see him. When she arrives at the hospital, young Kim forces himself to go through with the most difficult conversation of his life. Despite loving her completely, he breaks up with Jasmine as agreed, telling her they cannot be together.
그냥 네가 싫어. 헤어져주라.
This decision devastates him entirely, but he believes it's the only way to save her life while preserving his future daughter's existence. The emotional trauma doesn't end there. After his father's death, when his lifelong best friend Dawn comes to offer support and comfort at the funeral, the emotionally destroyed young Kim lashes out at him as well.
꺼지라고 이 개새끼야!
In his pain and following the pattern his future self had lived, Kim tells Dawn to stay away from him permanently. This cruel rejection destroys their deep friendship that had lasted since childhood, leaving Kim completely isolated in his grief. These changes in the past immediately affect the present timeline. When older Kim visits Dawn in 2016 after 30 years of complete silence, Dawn is shocked and angry. He demands to know why Kim suddenly appears after 3 decades, reminding him of how badly he had treated both Dawn and Jasmine at the funeral. Dawn's resentment is deep, as he never understood why his best friend had pushed him away during the most difficult time of his life. However, the timeline becomes unstable. When Kim returns home, Dawn calls unexpectedly with a completely different attitude. He's cheerful and welcoming, saying they should celebrate and that he's been waiting for Kim to return. This dramatic personality change confuses older Kim until he notices something terrifying. His daughter's photo has vanished from his phone's home screen. Racing to check the photo wall in his home, Kim watches in horror as his daughter's pictures slowly disappear one by one. This supernatural occurrence is happening because in 1985, reality is changing. Jasmine has sent young Kim a photo photo album filled with their memories together, along with a heartfelt note saying she'll wait for him one last time. The album contains pictures of their happy times together and represents her final attempt to reconcile their relationship. Young Kim, unable to bear their separation any longer and driven by love stronger than his promise to his future self, decides to meet Jasmine despite the agreement. His love for her overwhelms his rational understanding of the consequences, and he chooses his heart over the carefully planned timeline. As young Kim heads to their meeting spot, the present reality continues changing around older Kim. His daughter's existence becomes increasingly unstable as the past shifts toward a timeline where he and Jasmine stay together. When young Kim reaches the designated meeting location, he sees Jasmine waiting across a busy street, exactly as beautiful and loving as he remembered. As Jasmine begins crossing the street to reach him, tragedy strikes. A car moving at high speed strikes her down in a devastating accident. The impact is severe, and she's critically injured. Immediately afterward, in 2016, older Kim's reality stabilizes as his daughter's photos return to their original places. However, he realizes that something has gone catastrophically wrong in the past. Jasmine has been injured instead of staying safe. Reading newspaper reports from this new timeline, Kim learns the horrifying details. Jasmine died from the car accident, but not immediately. She was taken to the hospital where she suffered from blood clotting in her brain. The medical technology and knowledge of 1985 were insufficient to properly diagnose and treat this condition quickly enough, leading to her death from complications that would be easily treatable in 2016. Determined to save her using his modern medical knowledge, Kim takes another precious pill and travels back to find Jasmine in the hospital. Young Kim is beside her bed, devastated and apologizing for breaking his promise to stay away. Both versions of Kim understand that they now have the medical knowledge to save her life. The blood clotting in Jasmine's brain is a condition that Kim, with his 2016 surgical expertise, knows how to treat successfully. Both the older and younger Kim work together as a medical team to perform the delicate brain surgery required to save her life. They must work quickly and precisely to remove the dangerous blood clots before permanent brain damage occurs. Even when older Kim's 20-minute limit expires and he returns to the present, he immediately takes another pill to go back and continue the critical operation with his younger self. The surgery is complex and dangerous, requiring both versions' combined medical skills and knowledge. Despite another coughing fit signaling his departure time, they successfully complete the surgery and save Jasmine's life. When older Kim awakens in the present after this exhausting ordeal, his daughter is by his side, explaining with concern that he's been unconscious for 3 full days. His prolonged unconsciousness was caused by the physical strain of multiple time travels and the intensity of performing surgery in the past. Knowing he's successfully changed history and saved Jasmine, Kim feels a mixture of relief and anticipation about what this means for the future. Eager to see the results of his intervention, Kim locates where Jasmine now lives in this altered timeline. He discovers she's working as a senior trainer, teaching new dolphin instructors the skills she's mastered over decades. Though she's now elderly like him, she survived the accident and lived a full life. Her leg was permanently damaged in the car accident, leaving her with a slight limp, but she continued her beloved work with dolphins for many years. Kim observes her from a respectful distance without approaching or revealing himself. Seeing her alive, aged naturally, and still engaged in the work she loves fills him with immense joy and satisfaction. His sacrifice and the painful choices he made have allowed her to live the long, meaningful life she deserved. Making one final trip to the past, older Kim visits young Kim to provide crucial information about his daughter's mother. He tells his younger self that exactly 10 years in the future, he'll attend a medical conference where he'll meet a specific woman. Kim describes her as someone who will be impressed by his work and his dedication to medicine. This woman will become pregnant with his child, but their relationship will be brief and complicated. The prediction proves accurate. 10 years later, young Kim meets this woman at the medical conference exactly as foretold. She's attracted to his professional competence and passionate dedication to his medical career. They spend time together, and she becomes pregnant with his child. However, as older Kim had warned, the woman doesn't want to raise the baby and leaves after giving birth. Kim takes full custody of his daughter and raises her alone, developing the same deep father-daughter bond that older Kim had cherished throughout his life. In the present timeline, Kim spends his final days with his daughter at the beach, creating precious last memories together. During these peaceful moments, she tells him how incredibly lucky she feels to have him as her father, unaware that these words represent the culmination of decades of sacrifice and difficult choices he made to ensure her existence. After Kim's death from lung cancer, Don attends the funeral despite their 30-year estrangement. Kim's daughter approaches Don at the service, recognizing him from old photographs and family stories. She gives him a special diary that Kim had left specifically for him, with instructions that it should be delivered to Don at the funeral. Kim had somehow known that despite their broken friendship, Don's fundamental decency would compel him to attend the funeral. Reading the diary in private, Don is absolutely amazed to discover the full truth about Kim's time travel experiences. The diary contains detailed accounts of every trip to the past, every difficult decision, and the complex web of sacrifice that defined Kim's later life. Most importantly, it explains why Kim had pushed everyone away, including Jasmine and Don himself. It was part of maintaining a timeline that would ensure his daughter's birth. Deeply moved by these revelations and finally understanding his friend's inexplicable behavior, Don visits the elderly Jasmine. He gently informs her of Kim's death and shares the diary with her, allowing her to read the complete truth about their past relationship. Both Don and Jasmine finally understand the impossible sacrifice Kim made, choosing to live a life of loneliness and regret to protect both Jasmine's life and his daughter's existence. The next day, Don remembers that Kim had possessed multiple time travel pills and calculates how many his friend had used. Based on the diary's detailed accounts, Don determines that one pill should remain from Kim's original bottle. Searching Kim's house thoroughly, he finds the final pill hidden away as a last resort. Don swallows the pill and travels back to 1985, arriving at the hospital where he finds young Kim smoking during his father's illness. Don forcefully takes away the cigarette and delivers an urgent warning that smoking will cause lung cancer and kill him in the future. Young Kim, now familiar with time travel concepts through his experiences with his future self, immediately believes Don's warning and makes the crucial decision to quit smoking permanently. Returning to the present, Don searches everywhere for Kim but cannot find him anywhere. Initially, this makes him fear that his intervention failed and Kim still died from cancer. However, the truth is more wonderful. Kim hadn't died in this new reality because he had quit smoking 30 years earlier and avoided developing lung cancer entirely. He had lived a full, healthy life instead of dying at 50. The story concludes with the ultimate reward for all the sacrifice and temporal complexity. Kim, now elderly but healthy, and Jasmine, also aged but alive, finally reunite after decades of separation. When they meet, Kim reflects on how many years they've been apart, acknowledging the long journey that brought them back together.
우리 얼마나 떨어져 있었지?
They embrace each other tenderly, having found their way back to each other despite the impossible obstacles of time, fate, and the complex choices that define their lives. The film presents a profound meditation on love, sacrifice, and the unintended consequences of trying to change destiny. Through Kim's journey across multiple timelines, it explores whether true love means protecting someone even at the cost of your own happiness, and how the ripple effects of our choices can create unexpected paths to redemption. The story ultimately suggests that while we cannot escape the fundamental patterns of our lives, love possesses the power to transcend even the boundaries of time itself, finding ways to reunite hearts that belong together across any distance or temporal separation.